Hey everyone, welcome to another Angry Artist podcast. Now, if you've been following my other videos, you might have gotten the idea that I like to keep things scientific. I am a big promoter that art has objective theory, and a lot of cases they're scientific. So things like how your body moves, how lighting works, all those things are written in textbooks and they can be learned. However, it might be a bit daunting to really understand all this art theory, and I completely understand. There are a lot of things to learn when you see art as a technical craft. Now, of course, you could be one of those artists who simply throw paint on a canvas and say it's a deep message of your soul or whatever. But for the sake of learning how to paint and draw human beings and doing realistic styles and such, it's better to really break it down into these art theories. Now, let's simplify a bit. I understand the information might be very overwhelming. So, how do we go about approaching art from a technical standpoint without having to list a billion things to really learn? So, in my shower thoughts recently, I realized there's actually only two things that you really need to learn when it comes to art. Well, it seems a little bit wild, right? But I really took the time to sit down and think about this, and I realized every single artwork, assuming you're not just throwing paint on a canvas, will need these two things. And every aspect of art that you learn will be categorized within these two realms. So when you are trying to think about your own art and really think about where do I start when it comes to starting a piece of artwork, you will probably think of these two things, and if you do, it might simplify a lot of things in your process. So what are these two things? It is subject matter and lighting. Every single piece of artwork can be categorized into these two things. Let me explain this process. So subject matter is basically composition. It's basically what you're drawing. So when you're starting a piece of work, you're probably going to be thinking about what are you drawing and how are you going to frame it. And that's the entirety of subject matter. This includes environments, of course, so don't think that it's just human characters or something. It might seem obvious, but within this realm, this category, there are a lot of things to consider too. If you are able to open up Microsoft Word or something and type out exactly what you are drawing, that is literally one of the two things that you've just solved, and it might help with artist block and such if you were to break it down like this. So simply asking yourself, what do I want to draw, will really answer a lot of things and answer half of the battle. Now, the second aspect is lighting. Now, lighting is very important because it decides things like color theory, value, and in general, the mood of your piece. Now, I put this as a separate category because it's sort of like your icing on the cake. The subject matter can be lit in an infinite amount of ways. So, in the lighting category, you really have to sit down and write down exactly how you want to present your subject matter when it comes to color and lighting. Because, of course, color is relative to the environment and to other elements of your artwork. no color can be independent of itself. So some people might be asking, why is lighting separate from the subject matter? Because really, subject matters have color, right? Now, of course, an apple is red, the sky is blue, sort of thing. But that's a very basic way of thinking about color. Depending on the environment, the apple could be blue, the sky could be red, which is why lighting is everything when it comes to color. So let's apply this to maybe a standard practice of how you would start a piece. So first of all, you want to sit down and really think about, hey, what do I need as subject matters in my piece? What is absolutely mandatory to get your message out? Then maybe you can list down subject matter that is optional, but it might just be taken away or put in depending on how the composition works. Then you gotta think about the composition. So how are you gonna arrange those subject matters in such a way that you present your message the clearest? Now I used this example in the previous video where if you want to show a really big monster or a huge robot or something, you might want to have the composition be filled mostly by that monster. Because really the universe is present within the canvas. If you can't sell the message within this square rectangular frame, then you're not really selling the idea. Anyways, once you've established that, now it comes to lighting. You want your message, and lighting and color is where it's the icing on top of your subject matter. Well, let's say we are painting a monster. You have the composition ready. Now, a monster might be less intimidating if the sky is blue and everything is okay and the lighting is very natural. If you want to present a monster, you might want to go with something that's purple, something that's hard red, something that will be really intimidating to look at. As if this monster is causing the destruction of the world. So again, this is the second aspect. You have to think about the lighting. How is your subject matter going to be lit in such a way that you present your message properly? The lighting, while it is the icing on the cake, as I would put it, can be very influential. If you have very counterproductive lighting, you might just end up sacrificing your entire piece because it might do your subject matter injustice. So you want to make sure that you understand lighting to the point where you can really see it in your head what is needed for your artwork. Now, of course, I simplified the process of making a piece of artwork within two aspects. There are a lot of nuances when it comes to these two categories, but you will most likely, with more experience, make a lot of those nuances very subconscious. It's just subject matter and lighting that will always be a major consideration to your piece of work. The little nuances such as anatomy, even though they're very important, they're only helping one of these two aspects. And if you get good enough, you will probably just have anatomy in your mind and not really think about it. And of course, this leaves room for you to just think about these two categories. Again, subject matter and lighting. Anyways, hopefully this was helpful. Feel free to check out my other videos as well. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.